Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Ralph World. I am Mac, and with me, as always, is.
Uncle Britt.
And today we're going to be doing something a little different so that if you're listening to this on Spotify, you're going to be completely lost unless you have a television in front of you. Because we're going to be doing a running commentary on Sleepy Hollow. And the reason we're doing this is one, it's that time of year, it's the Halloween season, and. Britt, I don't know about you, but I really feel like this is one of those underrated, spooky, supernatural, just fun movies. You never really hear anybody talking about this. You hear talk about some of Burton's other stuff, like Beetlejuice or Nightmare.
Well, that one's iffy if you want to attribute that to Burton himself.
Yeah, he was the producer for it, though, wasn't
he? He wrote the original short story, or I think short poem, that the whole thing is based off of.
Oh, really?
But he was not intimately involved with the process of that movie.
Okay.
But that's neither here nor there. This movie does for sure have its fan base and everything, because there are people that watch this movie every year. They talk about it a lot, but it is not received the way the other ones were, where it has become synonymous with Halloween.
Right.
And I do think it's kind of a shame, because this has really good, effects in the movie. It has good practicality to it. It holds up. This is what, a 25-year-old movie now?
I think so, because what's funny is, first he did Beetlejuice, then he did Batman, combine the two of them, and what do you get? Sleepy Hollow. That's basically how that, in my head, that's basically how this came about. Like I said, he did Beetlejuice, he did Batman, then he was like, what's next? Obviously, the Headless Horseman.
Got to get Johnny Depp into this somehow.
Yeah. So, the idea is we're going to be doing a running commentary, our thoughts, our input. I was around, this came out, right about the time where, I was in my early to mid-20s. Depp was just sort of starting to come into his stardom. He wasn't the big name that he is now. And this was really if I can remember correctly, the first big weird thing he did after Scissorhands.
Was this after Scissorhands?
I'm pretty sure it was, yeah.
Because I know 21 Jump Street and Nightmare on Elm Street came out before this.
Oh, yeah, no, but this is I feel like this is the one of the first big things that he carried the movie. You know what I mean? Because in 21 Jump Street, he was part of an ensemble cast.
Oh, Crybaby. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, yeah, then there's Crybaby.
Crybaby happened before this.
Yeah. So we're just going to be doing a running commentary on this. And if you're going to be watching, and if you want to watch, and you want to know where we're at, whether you're streaming, watching it on DVD, Blu-ray, VHS, whatever.
Or on HBO Max.
The Paramount logo has just come up. All of the stars are around the mountain. Paramount is across the top. That is where we are starting. So, do you have anything else you want to add before we jump into this?
Not really. I mean, it's a good old Johnny Depp movie time.
All right. So now, without further ado, let's hit play and let's jump into this. Fade to black.
Nice.
Maybe we should have started a little sooner so we could get past the tiger.
Yes, but a Lionsgate company, you don't
With the
see.
tiger.
Yeah, you don't see that often. I will say, this is in the era of movies that I'm not real big on the opening credit crawl.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of movies have done interesting things around it. We'll see shortly in this one, they do a lot of landscape shots to kind of get you into the world and the aesthetic of it. And I get why they're doing it, but truthfully, if you cut this whole beginning out, you'd probably still get the same effect.
See, I think when they would do these long credit scenes, these long intro credits, I didn't really... If it was done in a way that contributes to the story, and the first thing that's popping into my head is those opening credits of Zombieland are iconic.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Where stuff is actually going on as the credits. Mm-hmm. You're getting this feel for this world.
The credits are secondary.
Yeah.
And something in that perspective I'm fine with. The one I was actually immediately thinking of is Forrest Gump with the feather.
I don't even remember the opening credits to Forrest Gump, to be honest. I think I've seen that movie once.
All it really is the gist is that you're following the feather as it goes through the air.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's boring.
I'm not saying it's a masterpiece of an opening thing, because I don't like them at all, really. But if you're going to do something, I can get it from that, where you're like showing the feather. The feather's very important to the story. It's going through the locations of the story, and then you land, and literally the movie begins with him picking up the feather. So, like, it did tie in. And now we're off to Men with Wigs.
Something else that I really like about this is that...
Oh, I'm going to cut you off. Jack Skellington Pumpkin right there. It is 100% a callback to that. I haven't looked it up, but I'm calling it right now. It is that. Please continue.
Something that I really like about this is that it's a color film, obviously. But, like, a lot of these shots, like, it has that old-time, like, silver screen look to it.
It's very monotone at a lot of points.
But like it also like there's this like this shine to it as well. Like it really does like harken back to like the quote unquote silver screen eras, and I really think that plays into like just that Burton, like not only was he sort of a whack job with these movies, but like he's also a student of film. Like he knows what he's doing.
I don't know if I've said it before on here. But Tim Burton is one of my favorite directors. Like, just consistently through his work, I found it, one, interesting, because whether you like it or dislike his stuff, it is rather varied.
Yeah.
Like, Edward Scissorhands to Big Fish to this are not...
I forgot he directed Big Fish.
Yeah, they're not wildly similar.
Wait. There's this coming up. I want to talk about this. I really feel like these effects hold up.
They do.
These beheading effects. And I know when me and you have watched it before outside of this, that we've talked about, like, I feel like that was one of the caveats that Burton had when he made this film. Like, we're doing the Headless Horseman. There's going to be a lot of beheading. If we can't do the decapitations, there's no sense doing this movie.
I mean, it's kind of hard when you have a whole thing based on folklore around this dude who decapitates people, and then the entire movie is about you avoiding showing decapitation.
Yeah, I know.
Because even when we were turning this on, the rated R score kind of catches me off guard, because nothing about this movie is really like R rating besides the decapitation.
And I think it's just because of at the time. Yeah, because I don't think there's any F-bombs or anything in this movie. But like, I really feel like it's because at the time, like, the decapitations were like really like shocking, and we hadn't seen stuff like that on movies, and there's just so many of them. Like I don't know what this would be rated now. I don't know what this would be rated now, if it would be a PG-13 or if it would still be R.
I think it would still be R because of the decapitation.
Okay.
But it's almost like rated R with an asterisk, because it's just the decapitation.
Well, it also does get pretty bloody. Like, not initially, but like, we'll talk about that later at the end, that like it does...
It gets bloody.
Yeah.
It's just... The rating seems to only come from the violent aspect of this, because no other part of this is all that vulgar or explicit.
And I love that they brought Christopher Lee in just for like this cameo bit. Like, he's fantastic. Like, I miss that dude. I loved seeing him. Like, his voice, his presence, like the stories you've heard about him on the set of The Lord of the Rings.
That, and this man has like 3 heavy metal albums out.
And one of them is a Christmas album.
Yeah, but like they're all set in this fictitious world that he came up with.
I know.
You know, this isn't particularly about this. This is a little more about Johnny Depp. He really has an ongoing thing with people in this era of time and judges. Because, like, this movie, Sweeney Todd, like, him and Judges just during this time don't get along.
Well, yeah, he was a serial killer in Sweeney Todd.
Not at the beginning. That didn't happen until after the judge wronged him.
And then pretty much every Pirates movie he's been in.
Yeah, even in the one he impersonated one.
You, Jack Sparrow, Captain Jack Sparrow. Look at it like that. I love how like the wings were behind him and everything. Like he's just so intimidating. I loved Christopher Lee in these. Now,
and you want to talk about color? Whenever anything is a bright color in this, it stands out wildly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because everything is, I won't even say it's like sad or dreary, because it doesn't feel like that, but it's just gray. It's very monotone.
Now here's what we were talking about earlier. Like, what are we? We're like 5 minutes into it at this point, and we're just starting the credits now. Like,
we just got the title screen, and now we're going to have at least 60 seconds of just landscape shots.
Yeah, like, what I loved when Nolan came out with Batman Begins, the movie just started. There was no credits. Like, you didn't even see the title card until the movie was over, and, like, you got so into that you didn't realize you didn't see the title card until the movie was over. But I really like making Ichabod a detective in this, because in the original story he's a school teacher that comes into town, and I really like the making him sort of like this investigator, that like his reality is still grounded in reality, that like at first he can't comprehend that there's like this headless horseman out there just lopping.
Well, it's not even that he can't comprehend, he flat out says that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
Like, all these people are being decapitated out in this place.
Not comprehend, accept.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, like,
I never noticed the
floating letters.
Yeah.
That was their attempt to make these interesting.
Now, you had mentioned something about this before, but like all the stuff that we've seen around him makes sense. And we haven't seen much of it yet, but like when he was in his office and he had a bunch of just gizmos and devices sitting everywhere, and that like autonomy doll in the background.
Yeah.
Like all of that feels right, even though it's like that's not the medical practice of the time, which is, you know, a large part of what the the plot of this is. But no, it does a good job of grounding what is fictition, or not fictition, what is fictitious into the reality of the world we live in at this time, which I think is set 1599.
Yeah, because I don't like, unless that's the entire jam of the movie. Like Van Helsing, there is so many like things that are wrong with the gadgets of Van Helsing, but that's the world they created.
And they dive into that.
Yeah. But I don't like when they do movies like this where you're expected to believe that this is actually taking place in this time, but then they give them technology and things that just did not exist at that time, because that does take you out of it. Van Helsing, like I said, like that didn't take me out of it, because it was basically like Universal Monsters meets a superhero movie. You know, like Van Helsing was basically Batman at that point, but like...
he was.
Yeah. But, like, with this, if he would have, like, if Ichabod would have rolled in with Van Helsing's, like, auto-fire crossbow.
Yeah.
Like, the technology he uses, it's not outside the realm of believability that, like, he cobbled some of this stuff together. He's trying to invent new things.
And it's almost wacky. Not in a comedic way, but, like, they really don't even always work that well for what he's doing.
And I like that, too, yeah.
Like it's not just he thought of this, he invented it, oh, well, all of a sudden he's doing it now. It's like, no, he has the right idea,
right?
But practically nothing's caught up to that idea yet.
Right. Like when he tries to... Well, we'll talk about it when we get there. Let's not jump too far ahead. But here are the credits still rolling.
Yes, for those of you not watching at home, this was produced by Scott Rudin and Adam Schroeder, and I'm sure we'll get 15 more names.
Yes. Well, yeah.
It's directed by Tim Burton.
architecture, like this gothic architecture of this. Like I love the setting, the sets, the look, the design of this whole thing.
And I do want to point out that one of the minor genres that I've recently gotten into is that sort of murder mystery aesthetic.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
it's probably in large part due to Knives Out, because that was just a very fun movie.
Wait a minute. It's a moment. It's Ricci.
Yes.
There we go.
Oh, look at Ricci.
Yeah. Now, you were talking about like when they have color, it really stands out. Like, I do not doubt that it was a purposeful choice to make her a blonde
Oh, yeah.
in this. Because, like, especially at this time, like, she was famous for, like, having this black mane of hair.
I mean, look at her clothing.
Yeah. She stands out in the crowd.
Even the other women, if you look in the background at them, even though there's not many here, it's predominantly men, but even the men are almost all wearing darker colors. Except, God, what's her name?
Ricci.
No, the woman that was right there.
The wife.
The wife also has standout colors. And obviously, if you've seen this movie, you understand why she has those colors on and everything. But all the orange pumpkins in the background, they stand out. They're really the most colorful thing on screen, even with the women.
Yeah. And I love this cast. Like, you got, like, so many, like, A, B, and C listers working in this, but everybody is, like, perfectly cast for the role that they're in. Because this was before, like, I can't remember what the guy's name who we just saw, but he was, like, second Dumbledore. Like, this is, like, before he was even, like, real big in the States, I feel. Him. I can't remember his name. He was also in Doctor Who.
Baltus.
Baltus?
That's his name in this.
Well, no, I mean the actor, man.
Oh. God, dude. I'm really glad we as a society have gotten away from those awful wigs.
I don't think that's a wig on some of them.
No.
So, some of them, they're just old. Like, these sets are so, like, there's probably so much detail, but you can't see it because they're out of focus. But, like, I feel like these sets were just so meticulously put together, if they're not just outright in a house that they rented. But, like, all those books, like, Burton always has, like, this very specific look that he wants for each scene. I feel like you saw that, like, even in the beginning of, like, something like Batman Returns, when they were in the Penguins ancestral, when they were in the Penguins family home. Like, there was a very distinct look that he wanted for that.
Oh, Tim Burton's known for his look, and I think, like, obviously he's made movies before this and many after, but this feels like he really started, not the start of his style, but he really became comfortable in what that style was.
Right.
Like, it is dreary, it is dark, but it's not necessarily sinister. It's just the aesthetic of the world, and what's happening is sinister.
And I feel like a lot of directors have tried to mimic this style.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, they miss the mark. They don't get it. Like,
They make it dark.
I am notoriously not a fan of Zack Snyder. Okay? And I really feel like it's because, like, Snyder tries to do stuff like this, but, like, he doesn't get, like, what makes this so unique. It's not just that it's dark. It's, like, it's lit well. It's, like, just so...
I mean, literally zooming in on the fireplace, you have two demon heads.
Yeah.
Like, it's small things that...
And I love these flashback scenes. Like, Christopher Walken as the head. Like, who would have ever thought to cast him in this role? But, like, it makes sense because he looks like a madman.
I I never even really thought about it, but you take a man who's most well known for his pattern of speech. I don't even think he talks in this.
He doesn't. He just does all this roaring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and he looks fantastic with that hair, those filed teeth.
Mm-hmm. All they really had to do was spike his hair up.
I like how he took that moment with his horse.
Yeah, another dead horse. And even to go back to the settings again.
I love
like
wait, I love this. I love this. All he's doing, just please be quiet. Nope.
I like that she holds it up. Like, it wasn't even just like a scared, like, oh crap, I broke it. It was like, oh, be quiet.
I don't think so.
Boom. What are you gonna do now?
Look at him just taking heads. Like,
Christopher Lee would not have approved of that.
no. I kind of like that you didn't see the horseman's head come off.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. I don't know why, but like, I really like that you didn't see it come off. And that is such a cool sword.
It is.
His horse came back. This is something else that I like, that they didn't make Ichabod a superhero. They didn't make him like...
That's what makes this charming to me.
Mm-hmm.
If you took that aspect out of Ichabod's character, I don't think this movie would have much charm. I'm not saying it'd be bad.
Right.
But it wouldn't have that charm of like, oh, this is getting real. Like,
Yeah.
This dude does not know what's going on, and therefore you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So when this man starts to believe, holy crap, there's this actual demon decapitating people, you're like, holy crap, this is real. Like, people are actually dying by this demon dude.
Yeah.
Versus, like, this whole beginning, he's still like, yeah, you're making crap up, guys. You're just trying to scare me.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I like about it, for as much as like Ichabod says this is impossible, I don't believe this, you know, there's no such thing as like ghosts, specters, demons, whatever. At the time, like, that could all be bravado, because at the time period, like the age, the year, like, it was still completely acceptable to believe that this could happen.
Yeah.
So like, him being nervous and him saying it's not a specter, this isn't happening, as he hasn't come back from the dead, like, you could also interpret that as just bravado for like, because then if he did really believe that, why was he so scared when they're telling him the story? Like, I really like this. And one thing I never understood every time I've watched this, what is the purpose of this box that this poor dude is in?
There's straight up no purpose. It looks wildly uncomfortable. He has to be laying down.
And you're screwed if somebody lights it on fire.
Yeah. Like, this dude has a gun. You could take a flaming arrow and this dude lost.
If you come up from the sides... and now we don't need... They realized it was so ridiculous they don't even show him getting out.
There's no quick escape either.
This whole effect with the horseman, the headless horseman, and like these decapitations, like, that just still looks, to me anyway, that just still looks so good.
It does. I think part of it, the reason it has lasted so long, or it has looked good for so long, is it doesn't try to go overly edited on those things. Like, it might, if you really find a spot, it might look a little cheap, like, oh, his head came off and then just immediately went out there or something.
Where it goes from reality to the effect,
But because of how dark it is, because of just how the lighting and the lighting and the fog and the trees, you can kind of shade some of the illusion so that you can just see the head come off and still see the horse continue riding.
Yeah.
like you have built-in ways in the film to make even what could be the weak parts of the film
really strong.
Bolster it. Yeah. Because
look at these shots. Like, who sets up shots like this anymore? Like, it was just some guys just standing around in the forest, but like the way it was framed, the way it was blocked, it still looked so good.
It's theater blocking.
Yeah, it is. No, it is. Yeah,
that's 100% what it is, because
everybody's seen.
Not that.
And they're on, no, but that's everybody's seen. Like, everybody's on a level, and they're all looking.
Because if you go back, it doesn't logically make sense that no one was on the other side of the body.
Yeah.
But the way it was set up, you had a guy up here reading a book, you had guys in a line over here, and then you had someone way back.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it gives you many places to draw an eye.
Yeah.
And two, like you said, it sets it up so everyone can be seen. Everyone is having an experience with the dead body that's on the ground.
Trophies. Even stuff like that, like, he's so close to getting it, but like, you must never move the body. Why not? Because like, he doesn't know what, like, but it just makes sense to him. Don't move the body.
And even at the time, because obviously they're not working with germs at this point yet or anything, but like, he's figuring out, you could have tracks in the ground, something could have fell.
This is what we were talking about before with like his little gadgets and everything, like,
and they're not even all really needed, if we're being honest, because that thing rising up out of his bag
serves no purpose.
It doesn't. Like, clearly it's multiple layers, and so it holds things in like a spot, which I guess is the practicality of it.
But in the same sense, I could totally see this version of Ichabod sitting around bored one night going, how can I make this more efficient? Oh, let's put... And then these things.
The glasses are my favorite device that he has in this movie.
And the funny thing is, like, we do have stuff like that now, and like, you can almost kind of see how this... He's so close to getting it, but they're just ridiculous. And then he has these smaller little lens on the... And the decapitation effects, like the corpse effects, are like really good too. Like, the art department had a blast with this movie, you can tell. And the art department was just like spot on with everything they did.
That's something I gotta give Burton. He does really good with practical stuff.
Oh yeah.
And even showing all the main men of this town's reaction to it, for plot-wise, you kind of get hints at what they are throughout this movie. And that almost sounds kind of dumb of me to say that they're putting breadcrumbs in for you to follow it. But not all movies do stuff like that. Some movies think movies as if they're a personification, but some movies think that you wait until the end to reveal a twist and that's how you get them. No, the best twist is one you should have seen the entire time.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with movie making now that, like, I feel like a lot of directors just don't get it. Like, they look at stuff that was successful and they're like, okay, we need to emulate that. But they just they don't understand. Like, they watch it and they try to copy it, but they don't understand what made the original so impactful, and they just don't get, like, why it's not as successful. I mean, we keep going back to it on this podcast, but like, they totally missed the mark with the sequel trilogy for Star Wars. Like, they had no comprehension of why the original, and even to a point, neither did Lucas when he made the prequels. Like, I don't think like they've really copied what made the first trilogy so successful, and I feel like that is just like a problem with movie making now in general, that like, yes, it's true, like, there's nothing original anymore, but you can still be good at what you do.
Like, it's why I'm so excited about the studio. I think it's A24. Almost all the stuff that they're coming out with, first of all, is like that's what they're focused on up until it comes out, within reason. I mean, it's still a company; they still have stuff working, but for the most part, they're working on that project until it's finished, and then they're working on the next one.
What have they done?
Everywhere, all the time, everywhere, all at once. Yeah. They did a couple horror movies. Like, I think Don't Speak was them, or Don't Blink.
Okay. Don't Blink was Doctor Who.
No, I know. But...
I love this. Digging up the bodies.
Five victims, 4 graves. I don't know why that line stands out to me so much from this.
Well, it's a little macabre, man.
Well, it is, yeah. I always got the impression from Ichabod that if someone else was willing to do this stuff, he would not be involved with it. But it's the fact that he knows it's correct, but no one else is doing it, that drives him to be the one to start doing it. Because, like, he is constantly shown to be repulsed by dead bodies and blood and everything in this movie. And, I mean, to his credit, he keeps coming back.
It's like they don't have the word autopsy yet. See, like what he just said, some of my own design, like some of these things, like, are completely ridiculous, but you can see why he thinks, like, putting a magnifying glass on a pair of, like, forceps or something. Like, you can follow his thought pattern as to, like, why that would be helpful. Realistically, it's not going to do anything, but like, you can understand what he's trying to do.
And it does a very good job in all of these scenes where he is doing, you know, pre-autopsy kind of stuff. He doesn't know what he's doing. No,
like he's referencing this manual right now, which is probably wrong considering the time that this was supposed to be made. There's the blood.
And the immediate, like, reaction.
Look at his apron now, though. Like, she was a geyser.
Burton saw him standing like that and was like, we can do Sweeney Todd.
Like, even the coloring for these night shots, like, it's dark, but it's still lit.
You can see it.
I think that's, like, I feel like that a lot of directors, a lot of lighting designers miss that, like, yes, it's night, but you still need to light it.
Yes. You still need to actually see what's happening in the scenes at nighttime.
I am glad they included this, because this is out of the original folklore, folktale, whatever you want to call it, legend, where the quote-unquote horseman confronts Ichabod while he's crossing the bridge.
Okay, we're watching this with subtitles on. I never heard it before, but the subtitles just said that the frogs were croaking Ichabod.
Yeah.
Never heard that.
Oh, you didn't?
No. That's cool, though.
Like, this actually happened, like, in the folktale, like, in the original one with Jeff Goldblum, like...
Was he the horseman?
No, he was Ichabod. Oh. Jeff Goldblum? Come on, he was Ichabod. Like, I really appreciate that they put this scene in here. Here comes your favorite part.
Because he just stares at it, man.
He just eats the pumpkin. He just takes it right in the mush.
There are 3 shots of that pumpkin, okay? The one on the knife right before he's, winding up to throw it. The one where it's moving in the air, and then the one where it hits his face. The middle shot where it's going in the air, He had enough time to move his head.
He just took it right in the face, man.
And look, I understand in the context of the movie, this man's like terrified. This dude without a head's running after him that he doesn't even necessarily believe in. But I'd move my head. I'm sorry. I'd move my head.
This whole subplot with his mother, I think, is genius too. Like, I really like it's. Some might say it's unnecessary, but like I think it does play into what happens later, and I think it's so well done. Like, no dialogue is spoken at all in these dream flashback scenes, whatever you want to call them, but you can follow exactly what's going on. And maybe not at the time, but like once you piece everything together, you can figure out what's happening.
See, there are a lot of channels on YouTube, kind of like CinemaSins, even though I understand that channel specifically is satire. But they are one of those channels that will complain that, like, oh, this plot line has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. It is not pushing it forward. It's not doing anything like that.
It absolutely has something to do with what happens later in the movie.
But for me, I equate stuff like that more similar to like side quests in video games.
Oh.
Where
No.
it's not necessarily like whether if you take it out, the plot will still happen and everything. But if you do that side quest or if you watch those additional scenes, it makes everything get colored in more. It's just expanding what is happening within the world.
No, man, it totally ties into stuff that happens later in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I just said.
Like, why would they say that it didn't have anything to do with it?
I don't know, I'm not them.
I know, it's just I can't stand that channel. See, like this dialogue that's going on between them, like that was something else that I really like about this. That, like, there's no wasted scenes. Like, he is deducing something, gathering information, putting things together, pretty much in every scene that he's in. He's always suspicious. He's always contemplating. He's always trying to figure out a rational explanation for what's happening, even when it's quite obviously irrational.
And it obviously this is fake, but in the world that this is real, it is sort of a good precursor to like an actual detective,
Yeah.
where all these unrelated things that he's asking about doesn't really has nothing to do with what is actively happening at the time, but it only comes back later to start making some sort of sense.
Like, if he was a modern detective, you would walk into his room and he would have one of those walls where he has photos with the strings
Yep.
attaching everything together.
And you would expect just every single thing he's saying to have some relevance, but because this is older, because this takes place in that time where those really weren't a thing, these scenes like this, from a character standpoint, like, she's not suspecting a thing.
No.
This is just conversation. And I mean, to a degree, he is asking about the town.
Right.
But he has been there for, what, 24 hours at this point?
Yeah, there's an ulterior motive why he's asking all this stuff.
Those would be just awful markings to be had. To be had?
To have.
Yeah. It is impressive to me that they went practical on some of these sets for very small scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Because this could have been very easily just the cobblestone and the burnt wood, and then everything else just do in a green screen and put the background in later. And I mean, they do to a degree with the fog and whatnot.
Well, with that backdrop, the skies, the gray skies, I don't even think that's green screen. I think that's old style matte paintings. Like,
I could see that because none of the clouds are moving.
Yeah, I don't think there was much green screen, like, because that just wasn't the thing to do at the time for this. It wasn't near, like, it really, like, doing things like green screen, like really, I feel like didn't come into prominence until The Phantom Menace, when George showed that you could film an entire movie. Like you had blue screens, but blue
Mhm.
screen, like one always looked bad and you could tell when it was happening. For the time this was made, I don't think there was anything like that being done.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they told me Johnny Depp took a real flaming pumpkin to the face.
Well, I think he kind of did to a point. It may not have been a real pumpkin, but he took it to the noggin.
I like that they don't shoehorn suspicion into this movie. Suspicion comes very naturally by why what these characters are doing logically.
Yeah, he's just not automatically suspicious of everybody. He's
Yeah,
suspicious of the actions they do, which leads to him
like this dude trying to escape right now.
right here. Yeah, like where are
Yeah,
you running from?
and truthfully, up until this point, the movie does kind of make you draw attention to him because when they were at the grave, he's like holding that cross and he like
That's an ankh, not a cross. It's Egyptian.
religious. Oh, I don't know. Okay.
As the lightning flashes for no reason at all. And I like that like he even like that's how you know that was lighting. Like he
Mm-hmm.
actually
Yeah.
reacted to it. It wasn't something that was CG'd in later. Like yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like even when it was first flashing and he just looked up and around
Like he wasn't taking stock of it. He was just noticing it,
yeah,
reacting to it, and then right back to what he was doing.
yeah. Oh, I love these out of the mist scenes. He is so intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
He is so impressive looking too. Like, and I'll tell you what, man, that stunt right. Oh, there we go. Like
Like
that
even
stunt rider rode at full gallop with his head hidden under that costume. Like that's
and
awesome. And then just like right past our lead.
twirling the blade and
Yeah,
everything. You ever had a decapitated head stabbed right in front of your groin?
I know.
Ichabod has.
He's terrified.
Mm-hmm.
He's finally seen it, he's confronted it, and he's terrified. He has to admit that it's real, and he can't. I love it.
Like he's almost delirious right now.
Yeah, I love it. He's trying to convince them, and they're like, "We know. We've been telling you." Right there, that's it. I saw him. Like
Mm-hmm. Like
there is nothing. There is no irrefutable evidence now that this doesn't exist. I saw him. I saw him take a head. I saw him kill. Like he can't get
mm-hmm.
past it now. And like even
It falls along the logic of like what, oh my god, how did the saying go? If every logical conclusion is incorrect, then all that leaves is the impossible conclusion. I know I butchered the phrase,
it's from Sherlock Holmes, but I know what
but
you're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about. Yeah.
like that's the crossroads he's getting at this point because he knows it's real.
Yeah.
And there she is floating.
And like this is like Burton is so good at this. Like this scene isn't like visually dark and like
Mm-mm.
he like capture this magic with it. Like he did that in Beetlejuice a lot
Mm-hmm.
too. But then like we go right back to this. For the longest time, I thought that dude was Josh Brolin, but I don't think it is.
I think Josh Brolin is like 18 at this point in life.
Well, he was 18. He was around 18 like when Goonies came out, so he's probably like in his mid 20s at this point. He's not Thanos right now, is what you're getting at. He's not. He's not the age he would need to be for this movie.
He's not Cable.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
No matter the decade, we all fidget with something.
Mm-hmm.
And see this, like we said in the beginning, he's not a hero,
Mm-hmm.
but he knows what needs to be done, and if he's the only one willing to do it, he gets himself there.
Yeah.
Because he was absolutely terrified
Of the Horseman.
He saw it. It was real. Everything he'd been told since he got here became real in his head when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, or later that day, I don't know how much time has passed, he collected himself and he's like, we're going to figure this out because this still doesn't make sense. I've seen it,
Yeah.
but what I saw doesn't work with what's happening.
Like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
Why is he doing it? What's the motivation of this headless horseman?
Like, okay, you want to decapitate them. I get it. They're old. Why are you taking the heads? I keep thinking they're saying Macbeth.
No, this is like Batman and Robin right here. It's like I keep saying, man, like, he did Beetlejuice, then he did Batman. The next logical step is the Headless Horseman.
Now, it's worth noting, my man Ichabod has like a donkey going, and his little ward, or whatever he is at this point,
It's like on a Clydesdale.
he's straight up on a Clydesdale. And this kid is one of my favorite characters in this movie for the sole fact he is not a ride or die.
No.
I know we're not at any of the points yet, but you will see, heed my words, you will see this kid as soon as he ever gets the opportunity to run, leave, get told to go somewhere. He's like, good, yeah, okay,
I'm
right
out.
on, righty-ho. Yes, push the kid in first.
It looks like he's holding the kid at gunpoint.
Ichabod's scared now.
I think we're coming up on one of the scenes you're talking about.
I think we are.
Look at this kid. He's like, this is weird. But he still doesn't look scared. He just looks like, this is weird, man.
He's probably experienced this woman before. That was kind of a weird way to phrase it, I guess.
Yeah. That red bird, like, keeps...
Isn't it a cardinal?
Yeah. Well, the one that he released was a cardinal. I think that's just like a bloodied bird.
I thought all the birds that they've shown are cardinals.
Are they? Okay.
That's, I mean, they keep them red.
Right there.
Mhm.
Right here.
Yep. Like,
You got it, lady.
Your-
I'm out.
your friend is in this place with a witch at this point. She tells you to leave, and no matter what you hear, don't come back. She's killing your friend. Like, that's what that means.
And he's just like, whatever,
Yeah.
lady, peace.
There was no fighting back on his part. He was like, oh, he's got a gun. He's fine. I'm out. I'm going with the horse. God, she's so twitchy.
I know, I love it. Like, she never stops moving. She never stops moving. I love it. And like she cuts that thing's head off like she just did it 5 minutes ago too. Like she just does every day. She's just sawing a head off a bat, throwing it into the stew.
Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of decapitation from the people in this. I didn't realize how many animals got decapitated.
To the kid's credit, he did just hang out outside.
Wow. What a lot of help for someone being murdered.
I'm more surprised he's just not already sitting on the horse waiting to go.
Faced in the other direction and everything, just waiting, turned around, like, just say it.
Yeah.
You don't even need to say it. Scream.
That's the only effect in this that I'm like, they could have They
you
could
could
have
have gone
skipped that.
without.
Yeah. She could have just revealed this face
Yes,
because that is horrifying.
yes.
Mhm.
Because honestly, that's a Beetlejuice kind of move right
Yeah,
there.
like that effect, like not
Eyes
even
and tongue.
yeah, not even that the effect was bad. It's just out of place in this movie. Okay, whatever you say, I'm out.
He is not ride or die, but he is ready to leave.
Yeah, look at the difference in their horses.
Yeah. And I think you were the one that said it. This set has to
Stay
be
here.
modular.
Okay.
Yeah, like he doesn't, dude, this kid doesn't fight for anything except survival.
No, I absolutely think this was modular. I absolutely think that they had like maybe 6 or 8 like ground pieces with trees that they could just move around and then just throw, dead leaves, dead foliage down to cover up the seams of where those pieces and path pieces were, because you could totally do that with something like this. It's just trees. And like if you have an art department that knows what they're doing, which obviously this art department does, you could assemble those trees so that like no matter which way you turn it and piece it with something else, it'll make a path and look different from what you'd already seen. And then they just have a few centerpieces like the horseman's tree, the witch's hollow, and the Ricci's hearth.
Oh yeah.
He's even got the rifle, man.
You know what? That is, I take it back. He had one scene where he was ready to go, and it was right there, and he was about to kill a woman who had no threat to them. But give him that credit. But even her horse, man, like,
oh yeah, she stands out. Her costume, her hair, like her horse, everything about her stands out. I'm more surprised, but very glad.
I like the framing right there.
Yeah.
Her being in the tree and him coming out of it.
Yeah. Like, I feel like now, like, she's blonde, but it's a very natural blonde.
Yes.
It's like a dirty blonde look. I feel like if they did this now, talking about, like, missing the point of things, I feel like she would almost have, like, a bleach blonde. Or, like, a platinum blonde. Like, something that's impossible. But, like, that still looks like a natural blonde.
Blood. Yeah, great.
Kid's like, no problem, no problem. Come on, I'll just,
Stay where you are. I kid you not, the kid leaned back a little bit.
yeah. Once again, man, the art department just had a blast on this movie. Like, if you're in it at this point, if you're working for an art department and you find out you're working on a Burton movie, you gotta be like, ooh, we're gonna have some fun.
And it's not even all like, oh, we get to do some gruesome looking things. Like, as I said earlier, he did Big Fish.
Yeah.
That movie is not gruesome at all. It is a family movie.
But there is so much visually cool about it. Like when he resets the house. Yeah.
And even back to... Yeah.
Look at the heads.
All the heads rolling forward is just unsettling.
Yeah.
Like, yes, the heads are unsettling, but it's the fact that all of the faces turn to look
up at Ichabod. This is so cool.
But I think it's worth pointing out, even when he got more blood on him and everything, and he reacted like he didn't like it, because I'm sure he didn't, even him taking the axe and cutting the tree was not like he knew what he was doing. It wasn't like he was chopping it down.
No, he was very awkward. Like,
yeah.
He'd never cut wood before.
And it's just, it is really those small things that I feel like help build a character without just someone outwardly saying words of like, oh, he's never done this before. He's a little scared and nervous to cut this tree.
I can't stand how they over-explain things in movies anymore. They don't need to do that. Show, don't tell. Look, my man's got the gun again. He's like, I don't know what's going down, but I'm not going without a fight.
But let's take notice of where he's not. On the tree. He did not get any closer.
As a matter of fact, he just sat down where he was. Oh, I love this scene. This looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I really think this looks fantastic. Talking about effects that still hold up. Like this right here. The horse coming out. Like, that still looks good.
Oh, dude, that's one of the best scenes of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Because, like, the first time you watch it, you are not expecting that to happen.
And it's staging again. It's not a lot of people, but you have these two down here that are like next to it, watching it very close, and you have Ichabod by himself looking down at it, almost like he's above it all.
Yeah,
but he's still
he's
stuck
observing.
in it.
He's observing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, something else that I think they do a really good job, because we keep talking about how all of the men are wearing these dark colors,
Mm-hmm.
but like, they're not just all wearing black. And even though it's dark, like, each costume is still interesting to look at. Like, the horseman is basically just all in black. But I love the design of his armor and his cape, the way it flows. Like, it is still a visually very interesting thing to look at. Where, like, now I think, like, people kind of go like the stereotypical 90s edgelord whenever they put somebody in black, that it's just black and there's nothing else going on, and that's boring.
I think part of that with recent films, and it actually ties into Peter Capaldi's Doctor as well, funny enough, they're making active choices to make costumes cosplayable. And that does mean simplifying articles of clothing, because you're not finding the Headless Horseman costume at, Goodwill or Target or Kohl's or something.
Out of all of the kills that the horseman does, this is the one that, like, hits me. Like, this dude does not. And I love, like, his first concern is his family, and he's like, I don't care if this is an undead, I'm going after it.
Going back to showing and not telling us something, this man is a good guy, or at least for the most part, because as soon as this demon walked into his house,
he knows he's dead.
Immediately, it's like, you need to get out of here now.
He knows he's dead. Yeah. He's got a fire poker, and he's still taking it to him. But watch this. It's steaming. I like that callback, because they were talking about, like, the blades cauterizing the wound.
It's the Jedi, or not the Jedi, the
lightsaber
lightsaber effect.
And look at this. Look at that. It's intimidating. Just like that's Vader coming through the blast door in A New Hope. Like, that's just, like, immediate.
And you have the lightning outside. You have the
turning,
lights.
the spinning lamp.
Like, you just have dynamic lighting, which, take the lighting out of this scene, it's not a very engaging scene within itself. It's just him walking up to her and killing her.
The addition of spurs is also fantastic.
Yes. And I don't even care for the horse practicality effect. It's the sound for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. And, man, I don't know. I never stop to think about how common it... Like, look at that cape. That is, like... Oh, there's just so much going on with that costume. I love that. But, like, I'm not sure how common it is now. But, like, back when this was made, there were 2 rules. You don't kill the pet. You don't kill the kids. And you may not see it happen, but that kid's gone.
Oh, yeah. We're never seeing that kid's head again.
Yeah. So, like, this one killed the kid. And as far as, like, don't kill the pets, talk to John Wick.
Yeah, because they didn't even kill his horse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although, and I don't know what this says about us humans, we've accepted the death of children in media. People still revolt if the dog dies in the movie.
I know.
Like, there's a website dedicated to Does the Dog Die?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. Because, like, people like, be traumatized if they... Now, here, with what's about to happen here, Brahm is an idiot.
Oh, 100%.
This dude is like, you mean nothing to me. I'm just leaving.
So already twice he started walking past him,
Yeah.
and this man won't let him go.
Yeah. And now, like, he's going for the hay side. It's like, Brom. See, Ichabod's even like, this isn't gonna end well for you, man.
Dude, you don't understand. I just saw him come out of a tree. Oh, he was hiding in a tree? No.
No.
A bunch of decapitated heads parted, a bunch of vines went over a skeleton, and now here he is.
And I love it. We cannot win this. We're out. Just go. But, and now we come back to the bridge. Like, you kind of brought this on yourself, Brom. Sorry to say it. Oof. Ichabod is so inconsequential to this. He just runs him through, flips him, and is like, I'm here for this
Dude, it's
I'm here for Casper Van Dien.
he really just puts the sword in him like a slice of
Look
butter.
at that. Look at that.
Just talk about a slice of butter. See, that's how you know that one wasn't like that was not a mission of his. He got annoyed by that guy.
He didn't take the head. He just killed him, went down. He looked at Ichabod, and that's the other thing that I think they do really well with this. Like, the thing has no head, but you know when he's looking at somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You know when he's, like, eyeing somebody up. Like, whoever did that was really good with, like, their body acting.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like whenever you see Andy Serkis in a live action role, you don't realize how unphysical some actors are until you watch one that is, and you're like, wow, from his feet to his hands to his head, he is acting in the scene.
Because he's so used to doing the motion capture thing, like with Gollum, where like he had to like over exaggerate everything. That is starting to affect. Not starting to, but that does affect like whenever he's just live action acting.
And I'm not saying that as a complaint, to be clear.
Yeah.
Physical acting is really, really good done right.
Yeah.
The one who took his skull. Wild. Could you imagine if that worked for anyone? Like, if you died tomorrow, I could just bring your skull so we could keep recording. Welcome back to wow, let me stutter through that. Welcome back to Be or Not to Be with me and Mac. Beth.
And I love how,
Very white.
Yeah, I love how the church is like just stark white, and like the cut makes it look like this priest has no head. Right there. Like,
and there are only two things so far in this movie that have been predominantly white. This church and Ricci.
Yeah. And like this is, to me, this is one of the most gruesome scenes in the movie. Right?
Oh, it is.
Coming up. Like,
I mean, it's
they put her in an Iron Maiden, and like you can see the effect that it's having, like, and then this happens. There's something wrong with Burton, but I'm not going to be the one to. I'm not going to be the one to help him. Let it
Helena already tried. Yeah. Okay.
His wounds are bleeding.
Innocent.
Child of nature. Witch. I know we should be talking, but like I really like that scene. Like when he's just admitting like this is what happened. This is why like I can only believe the things that I see.
Like you're actually getting the logic behind his reasoning through most of his actions so far.
I think this is another fault of a lot of modern storytelling that like they try to tell you everything up front rather than let things happen organically. Like I feel like if this movie would be made now with a lesser director, this whole story about Ichabod and his mother would have been just force fed to us in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Or at the very least, a singular flashback at one point.
Yeah. Whereas, like this, you start to get hints, and then, like, when he has this conversation with her, when he's basically, like, confessing, like, everything that happened to him, to her, like, it's not exposition for the sake of exposition, it's somebody telling another person a story.
It's probably the only point thus far that he's not actively trying to solve something. He's actively like, dude, this is really giving me PTSD, man. Like, can we talk about this, please?
Yeah.
I don't remember who said it, but someone said whoever in movies has the apple is always the villain. And the one that really supports that, not that we've talked about it at all yet, is Barbossa from Pirates. Because he has it in the first one predominantly and offers it to people. But what cinches it is at the end of the second one, when he comes back down the stairs, he takes that bite out of an apple.
Look, I don't want to go off on a tangent about the pirate movies, but best sequel ending ever with Barbossa coming down those stairs, taking the bite, and then just cut to black. Back to this. Okay.
This was Jack before he was a pirate.
I do like how, like, whenever he starts putting things together, he starts to get excited. Like, it starts to be like this just stream of consciousness coming out. Like, he doesn't quite have things figured out, but as he's saying them, like in a very real way, as he's saying them, things are coming together, pieces are falling into place.
He is one of those people who in real life would always sound like he knows what he's talking about, but because we get his internal thoughts and all the interactions he's having, we realize as the audience, he's making it up as he goes, and not making it up out of nowhere, but he's putting it together as he goes.
Yeah.
And he's not always right.
Yeah.
He's consistently coming to wrong conclusions. And I mean, that's a part of the whole process.
And that's something else that I think a lot of storytelling, modern storytelling, loses. That, like, it's okay for the hero to be wrong sometimes. It's okay for the hero to make mistakes and be fallible. It makes them more relatable. They don't have to be perfect right off the bat. They don't have to know exactly what's going on right off the bat. Like, even Captain America, like, one of my favorite moments of Captain America, the first Avenger, is after he gets roided up and he's chasing the Hydra agent.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how fast he can run. He doesn't know how far he can jump. He doesn't know how strong he actually is.
Yeah, because he, like, tries to turn and just, like, almost like a car sideways goes into a window.
Yeah, and I love it. He's like literally getting his legs under him. And then there's also the thing where the Hydra agent throws the kid into the river and Cap is going. And the kid's like, I can swim. It's cool. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, even just look at the set dressing of this place, how chaotic and...
Yeah, it is a lot of paper, and like, none of which is organized.
No, imagine how long it took, like set design and art to, like, put this whole thing together for, like, maybe a 5-minute scene. You know what I mean? And you want to talk about, like acting and, like, losing themselves in a role. Like, there are so many people that don't realize where... Wait for it. Hold on. kid's like, look what else I found.
I'm gonna stay on this safe side of the table, but look at this.
This guy, this old guy right here,
Mm-hmm.
that's Alfred from Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, him. Like, so good. Like, it took me a while to realize that.
No, I wouldn't have known that until you said it.
Yeah.
Now pieces are connecting. He's feeling confident in what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
The kid is there.
Ready to bolt at a moment's notice.
Yes, sir.
Forget this. I'm out.
Mm-hmm. Like him refusing to look at him, just trying to completely avoid the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just small character choices
Yeah.
that I really miss in things.
Mm-hmm.
It's a massive piece of paper.
The kid's just like, look, man, can we just go?
All right, dude. It sounds like you really got this figured out. People are killing people. I think we know who we're thinking of.
So close.
Mm.
Like, his conclusion makes perfect sense,
Mm-hmm.
but just a little off course. Suspicious. Suspicious of everything. I love it.
That line.
Because it was yours?
I wish I could hear someone say some crap like that to me, man.
Okay.
The inner thought slipped out right there. I'll get back into commentary. Kids hiding behind the pole. Dude.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. See, this is the thing. Like, the conversations they've had before to her were just conversations. But now that she's just trying to have a conversation, like, he's suspicious of everything she's asking.
And they don't play her as dumb either.
No, she knows something's up.
Yes.
She saw her dad's name. He has this big piece of paper. Like, and then there's this.
We never get a follow-up on that spider, do we?
The
Like,
spider
where did it go?
between the floorboards? Who cares? It's a spider. Like, they just disappear. There it is.
It was so wrong.
Yeah. Just like they're completely wrong about what this actually is.
Yes.
And the spider's like, I'm out.
Well, in fairness,
Ride or die.
it was just the kid trained the spider.
Yes.
But it was just the kid saying that, who really is the least trustable source of information in this movie. Those are some crazy horns.
Mm-hmm.
Is it supposed to be like winter? Like, why is everything dead? Outside of the aesthetic choice, like, would there be a reason for something like this?
I think it just adds to like the whole like spookiness, Halloween vibe feel. Like it's the fall. It's like this time of year.
Okay. Kid just sits down. Like, he doesn't even have his gun at this point.
Ichabod getting his freak on.
Like, you'd think with the rating R, like, you'd show the dude's butt or something. He really wasn't gonna stop that either.
No, he wasn't. He doesn't know what's going down. Like,
I that's very accurate, but like you see a woman pull out a knife in the middle of the woods.
the assumption being she's going to stab dude in the back.
Yeah, and he just kind of, uh, uh, it's fine.
That's her jam. I love it. Like everything is falling apart now, and like he knows, like he can deduce that she's the one that took it.
And just like the dude leaving before, he has followed up on what all conclusion, not conclusions, all evidence points to, which at this point, why is she doing this?
Because she doesn't want it to be her dad.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't know that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, she's not playing around with
No, no. I think that's something else, and there may be evidence to the contrary, but I think that's something that Burton is good at. Like his female characters, like I'm not going to go on a whole strong female character tirade here, but like his female characters are real.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like between Barbara and Lydia and Beetlejuice, Selena, you know, Catwoman and Batman Returns. This right here, like they're just very real. You know what I mean? Like that, and I think it's like really says something about entertainment that like I can notice that in these movies.
As two straight guys coming at something like this. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's two straight guys. It really isn't in our wheelhouse to even look out for those sorts of things, like a strong female character. I'm not saying we don't
Right.
appreciate, see it, whatever,
Yeah.
but we could completely watch a movie and like we could watch it with a girlfriend of ours and they're like all the women in that movie had nothing to do except, you know, be the girlfriends to the guys. And we're like, I wasn't even watching for that, but
Yeah.
they were.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with us, because we do try to watch so much stuff and try to watch varied stuff and with different leads and ethnicities and everything,
Mm-hmm.
it is like we realize that crap now that
Yeah.
there are so many female characters and stuff where it's like if you took her out of this movie, there would be no difference.
Right.
And this may be a weird segue from what I just said to this, but all the women in this movie are like conventionally attractive, and most of the guys in this movie are conventionally ugly.
But anyhow, can we talk about this? Baltus is coming saying the horseman has killed the stepmother.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put a pin in that,
Mhm.
and we'll come back to it like in about 10 minutes.
And now here comes one of my favorite scenes.
Oh, this whole
What I like,
siege of the church is fantastic.
what I really like is that Baltus, while is the lead suspect at this point, at least to Ichabod, everything he's doing and has done has truly just he does not come off as a suspect to
Right.
like the audience perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like I at no point, even as he reached that conclusion, was I thinking, "Oh, this guy's a mastermind." Like the entire time, I just kept thinking, "I feel bad for this dude."
Yeah.
Huh. Here's the witch.
Holy ground. Like, I know they got nothing else, but it has no head. What do they think they're going to do with their muskets? What do they really think is going to happen here?
That's fair. And that dude's reaction is just so real. He just watched his wife die.
But did he? That's why I said we're going
to. Well, I know, but
come back to it. Yeah.
In the dude's mind right now, he just watched his wife die.
Yeah.
Half his friends are dead now.
And they're saying throw him to the horseman, and he's like, I think I'm going to shoot you, which he just did.
Which
and like you can tell, like that was an accident. Like he's.
Mm-hmm. And you could make the argument that this whole, like, him not being able to go on holy ground comes out of nowhere, but it makes sense.
It's totally folklore. It's totally old folklore. It's like the vampire not being able to enter a church. This right here.
Yes. Like that staging.
Yeah. Oh.
Even the Red
he's
Cross.
Still alive.
Mm-hmm. Well, he hasn't been decapitated yet.
Yeah, but obvious, because that's
his MO, man.
Yeah, but like obviously a fence post through his chest isn't going to be what kills him.
That he had to have thrown that with some almighty might right there,
right
man.
There,
because it went through not only a window but an entire dude's chest.
And this shot coming up, like the panning and all of the bodies just laying there, like the way that Christina is positioned, the way all of the bodies are positioned, everything. There's a trail that leads right to this. It's such an interesting shot. It could be a very boring shot.
It could be, yes.
Yeah.
But honestly, if you were able to like zoom out and get that whole thing on just like one frame, that should be the poster to the movie.
Yeah.
Because like, you're revealing someone died in it, but I mean,
it's the Headless
people were gonna die.
Yeah.
But you had that cross, you had that symbol, you had her laying back.
Yep.
Even her room's all red.
Yeah.
It didn't occur to me, but there's a decent amount of scenes in this where someone's laying in bed and someone else is just talking down to them.
Mm-hmm. Burton's good with like themes, like consistent like touch points in movies, and because even the position of her bed mirrored the position of Ichabod's, where it was kind of like wedged back into a corner.
Wow. A full 180 from what he said to her before.
Yeah.
His hair's starting to look like Headless Horseman.
Yeah. So if he thinks it's her, this is the one thing that, like, I think his logic fails. Why would she use the horseman to kill her own parents? Oh, because they were the next in line. They would have gotten the fortune. Yeah. Never mind.
He was just, at this point, thinking she is a lot worse than she is.
Yeah.
That her niceness was a ruse, and it was like, I'll kill everyone to get that money.
Yeah. She would be the last heir.
Which, I mean, having said that out loud, reinforces his decision to leave. Because if it was just, I really liked her, she's doing this, he would probably stay and follow through with it. But I think part of it hurt his pride, because he did not suspect her at
Hmm.
all. And at this point in his head, she has done horrible things.
And played him.
All he did was turn his head to the left.
But and like what I like about this, when he thinks about that cut on the hand,
Mm-hmm.
like that's what brings him back around. Like this ties into the reason nobody else at this time, the reason nobody else would come to this conclusion that he's about to come to with like the cut on the
Mm-hmm.
hand being like basically post mortem is that like he's done autopsies. Like he doesn't call them
Mm-hmm.
autopsies, but he's done autopsies. He understands how a dead body
Mm-hmm.
reacts as opposed to a living one. I think that's a really nice touch.
It is. It's a thin line between like him being the chosen one and being the only one that can figure it out, and like him being the only one who would have the knowledge
Yeah,
to figure it out.
yeah. And like he's about to show that with these bodies. I really like and I love how he just
Yeah.
throws the lids off the coffins. See?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like he's like a genius.
Mm-hmm.
He's just the only one that has done this type of experimenting to know. And there she is. Like, I like that touch. I think that's a really good touch.
I know this is like nitpicky, and I'm aware of that. I truly do not like her dress.
It's a little too Disney Wicked Witch, where
Yeah.
Disney like evil queen type thing. Yeah.
I,
And check out this kid.
snip, snip. Like the costume department did so good for so much of this movie. It's just that her dress.
No, it's
Like
definitely
I don't know
it's definitely like Wicked Stepmother, something like that.
if you took the like thick yarn
Hmm.
outward part of it off, and it was just the white under. And I get the symbolism of the white underneath the dark, but a
Yeah,
bunch of holes. But it doesn't look good to me. It doesn't look
yeah.
like a good
I
dress.
love that scene where the horse rears up
Hmm.
and just like jumps at the camera. See,
Hmm.
this is my problem with Baltus. Like my man just left his wife behind.
Well, let's be real here. Step stepmom, second wife.
His
Not as much
wife.
love.
It's not a stepwife. It's his wife. And she's just chopping heads off. Like she's just gonna be
Hmm.
chopping heads off left and right in this. And I do like how they talked about like the reason there was no blood
Hmm.
guys or when the horseman cuts a head off, it's a clean cut. In these few scenes, like that first one, and I
Hmm.
think she does another one later, like the heads that she does take, there is that
Hmm.
blood geyser coming out that they didn't leave that out.
Yeah. Did she?
Hmm. Did she
Yeah.
die?
Did she? Kind of like you did.
Yeah.
Bunch of silly gooses, if you ask me. I dig the gloves. I'll give it that.
And you know she's the one that snapped the branch.
Oh
Yeah.
crap, yeah, dude. Crap, yeah.
She totally she was totally the one that was like just snap. This is the one time the kid tries to do something.
But it's only under the guise that he thinks the dude's gone.
Yeah. And given the time period, he's probably like, it's two women. What could possibly go wrong?
I have more strength than both of them.
I have a Clydesdale.
How dare she?
What a goose.
Silly ones.
Okay, so you know this dude is into some kinky stuff. If he like turns, her hand is cut, and he's like, "Yeah, this is my jam," and he just like starts drinking her blood.
Dude, it was the fact that he didn't stop. Like, there was no, why is your hand bleeding on me? Like,
He was just like, "Sure, let's do
it's
this."
just straight turned his head. Your hands.
Yeah. He's like, "Why not?"
I'm getting a little
Look at
parched trying to take off your 15 skirts.
Here goes another one. Blood.
Because it's all over her and everything.
Yeah. He had that big old mallet. He was totally going to Harley Quinn her.
The line delivery on that, I feel like they could have done another shot.
I don't know. I kind of liked it. I kind of liked that.
It just feels off-putting to me. It's just the way she snaps around and
Well, it's
says
supposed
it
to be
like as
off-putting.
fast as she can.
She's evil. It's supposed to be off-putting.
I'll get that, but she doesn't have to say like, "I know you weren't your master." Like, you don't. You can relax.
I love this part. They go in. She's just all casual about it. She's like, "Go get him."
Is there a reason she hides the skull?
So he doesn't see it? Because then he might stop and try and take it from her rather than go do, I don't know, like, that's your.
Well, I wasn't sure if I just like missed
Oh, no.
anything.
Nah, this is.
Rope time. Which I gotta give this thing credit, man. He walked in there and within seconds it's like, I'm not walking up the steps.
I have a plan. I'm just gonna levitate up via the rope.
You remember your mom floating in the woods? I'm gonna do that.
Oh man. Like they built this. They built this just for them to ride back down and then blow up.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah. Dude, no hesitation. As soon as he is told, get out of here, get safe, run away.
I'm kind of surprised he waited for Ichabod to say anything.
I think he was waiting for the rope. I think he just happened to have said it when the kid was like, the rope's here.
He did not wait for them. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, I was gonna say he's already on the horse.
We don't even know where the Clydesdale is.
You just hear the sound of galloping abs.
No one's gonna get that joke.
That is a great line right there. I like that. Like it's almost like he's the only one that gets it. Like they've been trying to shoot him, they've been trying to kill him, and Ichabod's like, okay, as insane as this is, he's already dead. Like there's nothing else we can do.
And I think that's kind of the reassuring thing, is that even though Ichabod is in a situation that he swore didn't exist, now that he's in it, he understands the logic of that situation. Like, this dude's dead.
Yeah, he understands the rules that he has to play by now. He's like reset his brain to, okay, this is reality now. I'm going to do something completely out of character.
I'm gonna shoot a gun. So late. So late.
What do? You're on the horseman's horse. You know this horse has to be undead too. And,
Well, he definitely saw the horse come out of a tree. So
yeah.
for sure it's not alive.
Even the stunt work for this,
Mm-hmm.
man. The stunt work for this is fantastic. This high speed stunt work, because something's about to come up where I think the last time we watched this, you even said that dude just totally got hit by that wagon. Isn't that coming up?
I don't know the exact moment, but I'm
Yeah.
sure it's during this somewhere. Yeah, I'd be absolutely terrified right now.
I know. I know.
Honestly, dude, all the metal in his bag is probably what saved him right there.
The
contraption,
collapsing. Yeah. I love it. Like, he's just trying to grab something.
But
Jesus.
I mean, we go back to kind of what it was in the beginning. Like we sort of have this black and white old TV effect.
Wait. Where's dude is just on a wagon.
Mm-hmm. And I think we did pass it.
Yeah.
Because I think it was when Ichabod jumps on to the other thing, one
And
of the
he's being
wheels
dragged.
hits it.
Yeah.
It really is a blink and you'll miss it thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, if you ever want to go back to those listening, it's that scene right there where they're chasing. I'm pretty sure the stunt actor gets hit with the wheel of the wagon.
Just look at the slow movement, the walking, the stalking up on them. Like,
He moved in front of the kid. He would not do that for you, but I'm proud of you. I want to know, what is it about a cape that makes you so menacing?
it broadens your profile. Like every time I've done Dracula, I've always insisted on having like a big cape because like it does broaden your stance, broaden your profile. It makes you more intimidating. And especially if you can like get that, if it looks heavy but it's light enough that it'll flow when you walk, like it adds extra movement.
Wow, she's the only one that gets kind of like a pose.
Yeah. Well, she's, a star. I love it. He's like, right here, my dude.
Horseman, I have your head. We're good. Throw it.
Yeah. And even this, for being like, what was it, like late 90s effects, I think this is good.
Yeah. I mean, you can kind of tell in a movie like this where they've actually tried to make it look good.
Yeah.
Because they stayed on it. They're actively showing the process of it.
Yeah.
So they had to take some sort of pride in like, what is this going to look like? Is it going to come out well? Whereas a lot of the decapitations, you can kind of show the decapitation for a second and then cut away and then just show the fake head rolling.
But yeah, the fact that they stayed on the reforming of the head, they were like, we did a really good job. We're going to show this off.
My only criticism with the skull is I think they made the skull too big. Because I think the skull is bigger than this man's head.
Yeah, like, I think people tend to forget how small the human skull actually is. That is a madman. I love the eyes. And the horse is back. The horse is like, Dad!
And he wasn't even, like, particularly angry. He was just kind of looking like, okay, there's those two. There's that kid. Where's my horse? There's my horse. Who am I killing next? You gave me my head. We're good.
And this, man, I know she was the cause of all of this, but like what's about to happen to her, I kind of feel for her. Because,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, look, it was his one spoken line of dialogue.
ah.
Waking up all peaceful.
Yeah. And then
Look at his mouth.
that.
Just grunt at her a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah.
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 The teeth.
Mhm.
This is going down. Like, where's all that blood coming from? Did he bite her tongue off?
Oh, he's definitely taking a nibble.
Like, that's what I'm talking about, man. Like, you know he's into some freaky stuff, and she's about to spend eternity with him.
I mean, if we're being real, I don't think this man has ever had consensual intimacy. Like, when he was alive, I mean, you saw his face.
And look at them. They're just like, okay,
Yeah.
that happened.
Yeah.
There's the hand.
Both her and the kid looked up. Ichabod could not stop looking at the hand.
I know. And
Which
then-
he finally gets his faint, which is so well deserved. And look at that color.
I know.
Immediately colored.
Yeah. The autumn leaves. Sun.
Wow. You almost can see the third layer of trees without the fog.
Yeah, the fog machine is gone. The clouds are breaking. The sun's coming through.
There's no way that convincing either of those people to follow him was hard
No.
after what happened.
No, absolutely
Like,
not. If no other reason, just to get out of town.
like I'm sure he turned to her. Like, obviously he was gonna go wherever it was safest,
Yeah.
but he definitely turned to her and was like, "So, you want to go back to the city with?" Yes.
And like the kid's gonna be fine. In my head canon, he ends up being one of Fagin's boys. Like everything just like that could be the origin story of the Artful Dodger for all I know.
Look, I knew he was gonna end up in the city because it was unsafe at the other place, so he wasn't staying there. As soon as Ichabod left, the dude almost left the town and went to go to the tree and everything.
No, we're watching this on HBO Max, and like the credits just like minimized up to another box, and we're getting another. This is another one that we should watch, From Hell.
Rated R.
Yeah,
And it was
that's-
only 3 years after this one.
Yeah, but this I've never actually seen this. I've always wanted to see this, but that is for another time.
Who is that?
That's Heather Graham with red hair.
Okay.
So, I definitely think this is one of those.
I did not know that was Christopher Lee's name in this.
Yeah, he was just the burgomaster. That's not his name. That was his title.
Okay.
Burgomaster is like a magistrate or something.
This has nothing to do with this movie, but is that why the dude in the one Christmas movie is called like the Burgermeister?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was just his name.
Oh wow, no. We'll talk about that when this is done. But so that was Sleepy Hollow. Once again, I really feel like it's like one of those forgotten, underrated. Like, it's not. It's definitely like, I don't want to say it's like gruesome, like bloody horror, but like I would definitely put this in like. Burton to me was making like a modern Universal Monsters picture.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where like it wasn't gratuitously violent. It wasn't like just blood and guts. Like there was a lot of good storytelling. There was a lot of good cinematography. Like even in the staging and in the lighting, I feel like something that I've always wanted to try, but I've never thought about is like just black and white this and see how it looks in black and white, like just like those old Universal Monster pics. Because like if if you're listening, you don't realize I'm very much a fan of the Universal Monster movies.
Uh, I haven't seen most of them, if I'm being
Mm-hmm.
honest, the Universal Monsters at least.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this movie does a really good job of, while it does do gore, gruesome with the blood and the decapitation and everything, the reason those stand out so much is because it doesn't delve into that in every other scene that's going on. Like, the other scenes are regular scenes. Like, it's just people talking, it's people reacting, it's people eating, drinking, whatever. Those aren't innately scary or visceral scenes. And then when you have that followed by, oh, a bunch of blood coming out of a tree with a bunch of dead heads, and then a horse just comes out of the middle of it, like, that's a terrifying thing to follow up with a scene of them talking in a bed. Like,
I think what I agree with you, and I think what you're trying to get at is, like, it's not gratuitous in, like, something like compared to the Saw movies, where, like, for me, like the Saw, the Purge, things like that, like, you just really get desensitized at a certain
100%.
point. And, like, in this, especially if you're watching it for the first time, or even the 15th time, 20th time, whatever, like, because it doesn't overindulge in the gruesomeness, every decapitation means something. Every decapitation is different. Every decapitation stands out to you.
No, it is a good case of less is more.
Yeah.
Like, you can do those decapitations. You can make it bloody. You can make it dirty. You can make it scary. But it's only going to land to the degree that you want if the other scenes aren't that.
Right.
Like, you need that balance between the two. And Saw is a great example, besides the first one, I would say. You watch those movies for the gore.
Yeah.
You don't really care what the story is. You don't care how Jigsaw is alive again or anything.
That's why, like, I crack up when they say, well, this doesn't make sense when you compare it to, like, Saw 2, and this person is supposed to... And I'm like, really? You're watching Saw or The Purge for the story? You're not watching Saw or Purge for the story. You're watching to see how people get their heads lopped off. You're watching to see what horrible things Jigsaw makes people do to stay alive.
And I'm not discrediting that. Like, if that's why you watch those movies, more power to you. Like, I'm not going to crap on the Saw movies because they're very gruesome and gory, and that's not always my thing. If that's your thing, dude, more power to you.
Right.
It's just that is not the best way to convey a story. And I can speak for myself, and I'm pretty sure for you too, story is the biggest thing for us when it comes to watching a movie or anything, or a TV show. We like the story. We like the reasoning of the world and why it's happening.
And that's why, like, I like this. That's why I like the Universal Monster movies, like, because there's still, like, a solid story. Like, the movie adheres to the rules of this world. Like, Ichabod tried to ignore the rules, and, like, that's what his hang-up was in the beginning. But like you said, once he accepted this is reality, I am being chased by a headless undead, he reset his thinking to just be like when the kid said, did we kill it? Well, that's the problem. He was already dead. Like, he was thinking, he was already thinking ahead to try and, like, what do I need to do? I need to get that head back, so he goes back to bed. Like,
back to bed. Back to your dirt nap, buddy.
But I feel like a lot of times, and it's not, and this is not a criticism of modern storytelling, because I know I've bagged on modern storytelling a lot. I think this is a criticism of just bad storytelling across the years. If you don't establish and adhere to, if you don't establish rules for the universe you built, for the world you built, or worse, if you do establish rules and then don't follow them, that's when the storytelling falls apart. Like, for as ludicrous as this was, being chased by an undead headless horseman, by the rules they created, we could follow everything that was going on. We understood, like, we didn't maybe know the mystery, but we understood what was happening, and, like, on a surface level, why things were happening. Like, we didn't know who was controlling the horsemen, but we understood what would happen, what his MO was. You know what I mean? Like, and that just helps immerse you into things more.
It presents you the limits of what this story can do, or character, however you want to look at it, and then it stays within those limits. And I think it's a double-edged sword for some things. For some stories that you might want to tell, those limits help you embrace the story you're telling.
Yeah.
It makes you focus within those parameters to tell the best story.
Yep.
But there are other stories that you go too heavy on the rules, too heavy on the limitations, and then you're like halfway through a movie and you're like, I don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
There's nothing these characters can do to beat the villain or whatever it is.
And they do a lot of bad writing that happens. They sort of like paint themselves into a corner, and then they think they're being clever with like what they come up with to get out of the situation or to beat the big bad. But in doing so, more often than not, they break the rules that have been established. And a twist ending only works as long as that twist works within the rules. Like, you can't have a twist ending that breaks the rules you've established and just say, what a twist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like I said earlier about the whole church scene. Like, there's an argument to be made that kind of comes out of nowhere. Because it does. It's that one scene that is even relatively important. It doesn't come up at the end. It doesn't come up anywhere else. But the reason but the fact that it doesn't come up anywhere else is part of the reason why I don't have an issue with it being contained in that one scene. Because it's not like they got to the end and they were like, oh, let's just get on holy ground and figure this out. And then there's an extra 30 minutes of them sitting in there talking.
Yeah.
The fact that it was just that one scene and the dude still pretty much figured out a way around it, it was like, okay. Like, you figured something out that works, but it's not going to help you.
Yeah.
I also think it's worth noting that it is nice to watch a movie that is completely self-contained.
Oh yeah.
Like, there is no hint of a sequel, and I'm not even like complaining MCU style. Like, I'm not even talking that big.
I don't know, man. I still say that dude ends up being Artful Dodger. We think we were watching Sleepy Hollow, but we watched Artful Dodger's origin story.
Sleepy Hollow 2, the real story. You remember that kid? Yeah, you're gonna remember him now. He still runs away.
So, that was our commentary for Sleepy Hollow. Seriously, if you're listening to this on YouTube and watching it with the movie, let us know what you think about this, because me and Uncle Britt, we make commentary on our own to movies we've seen all the time, and like, it's just something that we really enjoy doing. We're both very immersed in like entertainment and theater and things like that. I'm sure you picked up on when he would say,
the staging in this looks really cool,
or you said like, that's theater staging, things like that. And there's a lot of movies that we would like to do something like this with. So let us know if like this is your jam, if you like doing stuff like that. And once again, I am Mac. You can find me at Brick and Tire on YouTube, Instagram, and Threads.
Uncle Britt, I am Uncle_Britt on Instagram and TikTok. Don't really post much on TikTok, but hey, I'm out there. Follow me up.
Happy Halloween, everyone. This has been Ralph World.
Ralph World.